for something very different. But no less serious. The issue of cancer. If someone close to you has it or has been through it, how was the cancer dealt with? What was your experience like dealing with them and getting help for them? My guest today is Inderpal Shergill, an IT consultant, who unfortunately lost his father-in-law and also a close friend to the disease. He took his grief and channeled it into something positive, taking it upon himself to raise money for cancer awareness. Inderpal drove 9,000 miles across 32 countries, even risking his life on occasions. It took 4 weeks, starting from Glasgow and ending in Goa. And he joins me now from Glasgow. Inderpal, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, Nihal. Happy New Year to you as well.
Why Glasgow to Goa?
Well, I live in Glasgow at the moment, and that's where my base is. And then Goa is my holiday home. So I wanted to start from Glasgow and end it in Goa. That was from house to house. But the other major reason was that I was trying to actually raise awareness for not only the people, the Asian community in UK, I wanted to raise awareness in India as well. So that's how the journey was formed. And slight correction, I mean, initially the plan was to do 9,000 miles, but I ended up doing 14,000 miles in 48 days.
You did 14? What, did you get lost?
Not really. I mean, I just got carried away. I was supposed to do 25 countries, and then, as the journey started and people started talking about countries like Bosnia and Serbia and Kosovo, these are the countries known to be dangerous and stuff. So, I mean, the more dangerous they sounded, the more I was determined to cover those countries. I mean, it's because before I started the journey, I was speaking to some cancer patients. And when I told them that I'm planning on doing this journey for raising awareness, the first thing they said was they're at the last stages of their life dealing with cancer. And this is something which brought some light into their life. And they were determined to see me finish it. And the more people said, you shouldn't be doing something impossible like this. You're risking your life. And I said, what if I was suffering from cancer and I was told, do this journey and you'll be cured? I'll do it twice.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and the response came in flowing from all the corners, and that's how the journey just got expanded, and I ended up traveling 32 countries rather than 25 and 14,000 miles rather than 9.
It's one of those things that nobody obviously really wants to talk about until it happens to them or someone that they love. How did it affect your life?
So, yeah, it hits you hard when you see somebody lost in your family. My father-in-law was pretty close to my wife, and I saw the devastation which came into my wife's life and how it affected me, and my kids can't see their grandfather. So it does make a lot of difference, and it hits hard on you. And that's when you decide that you need to do something so that people are made aware.
What do you think the Asian community's attitude is towards cancer? Do you think it differs from the wider British community's attitude towards cancer? Are Asians less likely to talk about it?
Yes, initially when I was in touch with the Asian community, mostly people do get back. They do investments. How the Indian economy is boomed, people do investments in India. They keep talking to the relatives back home, getting the prices of properties and investments and stuff. Nobody ever speaks about how GPs here send them letters that you need to regularly get your cancer screening done once you cross a certain age. And the prevention is the key to the cancer rather than actually the cure. So in England and Canada, there's a lot of prevention that's taken care of. But back home in India, I don't know why people don't speak to the relatives. I went to some of the villages in India. People lost their relatives, and they found out at the end that the person was suffering from cancer. They initially, doctors couldn't even diagnose them. And the way the cancer has been spreading in India, we have been doing regular checkups. I've tied up with one of the cancer organizations called Roko Cancer. And they've been doing the screening 3 out of 100 people in some of the villages. It's so high, it's alarming, and people don't even know about it. So my main aim was that the Asian community, rather than just doing investment back home in India, they should be speaking to their auntie, chache, tai, and let them know that they need to get the screening done. rather than contributing to their community back home with building gurdwaras, temples, and mosques, what we need to do actually is we need to sponsor the villages so that the screening can be done, sponsor the people who are suffering there, the little kids. We need to actually contribute to their well.
But also as well, Inderpal, do you think more needs to be done to persuade men, especially, to go and visit their doctors more often?
Yes, I mean, until now, I think there was a big campaign with regards to the breast cancer. I mean, there's not been much talk about men suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
And
well, prostate cancer is a massive killer amongst men, isn't it?
You would not believe it. It's exactly the same figures as it is in women. I mean, but it's not spoken about as much.
81869 is the text number. If there's any comments you'd like to make on this about cancer awareness, and especially getting Asian men to go to the doctor. I mean, I have to say that I'm terrible at this. My father died of a heart attack, and after he died, my boss at the time and I, he suggested it, and we went for a private medical just to get everything kind of sorted out, and I haven't been back since to get anything like that done. Now, how easy is it? I'd like to know from you listening, when was the last time you had a health screening? Have you ever had one? To check for levels of cholesterol in your blood, for instance, or to early detection, because Inderpal, it's right to say, isn't it, that some cancers, if caught early enough, you can be completely cured of them, can't you?
That's right. I mean, as I got into the journey, I met so many people who actually came up and said, you know, I mean, had I not got my screening done, there was some sort of an inspiration. They got the screening done, got it at the early stage, and it was a miracle. The treatment was fairly simple. And the moment you get into the second stage and the third stage, you just lose the plot.
Okay. Thank you very, very much indeed for that, Inderpal. We'll come back to you in a little while. 81869 is the text number. You can also email nihal@bbc.co.uk. I'd like to know about health screening. How difficult is it to get the man in the house to go to the GP? Oh, aches and pains is fine. It's all right. Get over it. Another glass of whiskey will sort that out, etc., etc. We are into a new year. How many of you have made a New Year's resolution to go and see the GP, to go and get a health screening? After all, a lot of the diseases that end up killing us are preventable with the right diet, the right lifestyle choices. 81869, that's the text number. You can email nihal@bbc.co.uk.
The official Asian download chart. This is your number one. Hear the full top 40 Saturday afternoon from 3 on BBC Asian Network.
It is 24 minutes past 11, and it's my great pleasure to say that my guest, Inderpal Shergill, drove not 9,000 but 14,000 miles in 48 days to raise awareness about cancer. The reason being is that he lost his father-in-law and a very close friend to the disease. Now, have you ever been to check a lipids test, a cholesterol in the blood test? When was the last time you had a test for that, or for diabetes, or any of that? Considering how many doctors there are in the Asian community, how many Asians actually do go and have regular health checks? Do you? Do you encourage your partner to do so? Does it fall on deaf ears? 81869 on the text, or email nihal@bbc.co.uk. Now, Inderpal, tell us a little bit about your journey. So you start off from Glasgow. I presume you cross over into France, is it?
Yes, I crossed over into France, and then I was off to Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Italy, Slovenia, Hungary, Croatia. Then it was Serbia, Kosovo, Bulgaria, Macedonia, Greece, Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, Iran, Bosnia, Montenegro, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, China, Pakistan, and finally India.
Wow. Dangerous places?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, Some of the countries were real good fun. There were some finds like Georgia, beautiful countries like that. But dangerous, yes. Turkmenistan, Iran, upper regions of Pakistan, a bit in Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan was a danger in terms of how the whole terrain is. It's really a lot of snowfall, and there's a valley of death which I was passing through. I didn't even know about it. But yeah, danger was everywhere.
How did you avoid certain sticky situations? And give us an example of when you thought to yourself, oh, this is pretty dangerous.
I think the most dangerous place ever I would ever find on the journey was Pakistan, especially the upper regions. I mean, once I crossed over from China to Pakistan, I was attacked by Al-Qaeda in the mountain ranges. That was a very, very scary moment because I was attacked in the middle of the night. And
what happened?
I was driving through an area called, it was an area between Gilgit and Chilas. And it's a tribal region which is not under any control by any government, or there's no police protection there. There was no TVs, no newspapers, there's nothing. And I wasn't aware because I did my search on the internet finding out the routes that I was covering. And there's not an iota of information about that place, that there's a danger in that place. So when I went in, I was driving in the middle of the night. I made a resolution. I had promised my wife as well that I wouldn't be driving in the night. But when I left from this place called Gilgit, there was a landslide. So I had to wait until that got cleared. And in the middle of the night, I was driving, and suddenly there was some animals pushed in the middle of the road. So I braked, making sure that I haven't hurt any animal, and suddenly I was attacked from all the sides. Now, the good thing was that I had locked my car. The doors were locked. So they were trying to pull the doors, and they found out that there was a foreign car, and they found out I was an Indian traveling through that area. And suddenly there was a shout of, get him out, get him out. And I had opened the window at that point of time, though I hadn't stalled my engine. So this guy came over to my window. He had the butt of the gun facing me, and he said, get out of the car. So I wasn't still not sure what happened really. I mean, I thought it was some local people, or there was probably a civilian police. So I asked him, what's the reason? And he said, you just need to get out of the car, mate. And I told him, I'm just doing this journey. And he said, this is the end of the journey. And somebody from the other side said, shoot him. And the moment I heard those words, I mean, it took me 3 seconds, and I had to make a decision. So I put on the gear, released my handbrake, and just shot in the night. I switched off my lights, and I was driving in the dark on this mountain range. And the moment I turned around the corner, I heard the shots being fired at the back. I got to the city of Chelas, and I called the police, telling them that this is what has happened. And the police refused to come. They said even they wouldn't actually come to that area. They said they can probably see me in the morning, but that area is so dangerous, they cannot come to my rescue now. So I'll have to somehow survive the night. I checked into the hotel, and then it was a nightmare. My wife was on the phone all night. I was sort of just on the edge in case I was attacked again, if they would come looking for me. But I called the people involved. The Scottish Parliament had passed a motion which was chaired by MSP Sandra White. So I had the support of the Scottish government. So I called the relevant people. I called the people in India. Who actually called the important dignitaries in Pakistan.
Yeah.
And the next day there was a lot of police protection. There were more than 300 police people involved. There were 6 gunmen and 40 escort vehicles. And I was escorted through that area of Abbottabad where Osama bin Laden was caught. So there was a lot of protection the next day. But, I mean, on those areas, the police actually does, in some of the instances, police wouldn't come in front of my car. They would actually follow me. And when I asked the gunman, what's the reason? I mean, I thought normally you're escorted. I mean, the escort means that you would follow the police. And the gunman said, in case there's a firing, the police would actually turn back because the firing can get out of hand at times, and there are rocket launchers being used. And he said, it's just you and me, mate. Let's fight it out. So it was kind of funny, but I did interview all these guys because the whole journey was videoed. So I had the cameras on my dashboard. I had cameras facing me, and I took interviews of all the gunmen who were sitting with me. But they were supportive, but that was one of the most scary days.
I can imagine. My gosh, terrified. just thinking about it. I'm sitting here in a nice, safe studio at the BBC. Sudesh has said, well done for the gentleman who has done the trip for cancer awareness. All the best to him. Regarding health check, I do get checked every year, and I had one yesterday, and by God's grace, all the results are normal. But still, I need to do a bit of changes in my eating habits and my lifestyle. Hopefully, I will do this year, Sudesh. I couldn't agree with you more, mate. I've really got to sort that out. Kieran from Huddersfield said, firstly, pass on my gratitude and admiration to Inderpal for his work. I've lost both of my grandfathers to cancer, but I still feel there are big taboos about cancer in the Asian community. It frustrates me that throughout their illnesses and when people were coming to pay their respects, the people didn't even feel able to use the word cancer, as if uttering the word is like pronouncing a death sentence. The illness was usually referred to as that disease. I think there are also some cultural sensitivities with older folks towards things like breast and prostate screening, as they can be quite prudish about acknowledging these parts of their bodies. There is still a long way to go to raise awareness and overcome these barriers before we can get our community to acknowledge the early warning signs and seek help in a timely manner. 81869 is the text number. Help in a timely manner. 81869 is the text number. You can also email nihal@bbc.co.uk. Let's get a last word from Surjit, who hopefully is on a clearer line. Surjit in Luton. Surjit, welcome back. Is there one message that you'd like to get out to the Asian community? And what would that message be, Surjit?
Hi. Sorry,
Sorry, is there one message you'd like to get out to the Asian community?
Yeah, I mean, I basically would definitely insist every young adult, whether it be a female or male, up to 25 years old, go and get yourself, your blood test done every year. Anything can happen in that case. So I think it's so essential. I've been saying that for years and years now.
And I couldn't agree with you more. Surjit, thank you very, very much indeed. If only I practiced what you preached, but that is something that I will definitely be doing this year, is getting a health screening. But I'd like to know from you whether you believe that Asian men especially are doing enough to get these health screenings. And let's talk about cancer out in the open. Discuss it. Is it that disease, as Kieran from Huddersfield was saying? No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to say anything, as if it is a death sentence immediately, when of course it isn't. We heard from Nuri, who said that her husband of 39 years was diagnosed with it. A nurse said he was not going to live, and he did, and he's now in remission. But we need to get the screenings done. Are you married to someone and you find it such hard work to get him to get down to the GPs? Or are you that guy that did go down, or that woman that went down, had the test done, found something, dealt with it, and now you're better again? I'd like to hear from you. 81869 on the text, or email nihal@bbc.co.uk.
Nihal on BBC Asian Network. The sound of Asian Britain.
Are you ready?
The biggest tracks on BBC Asian Network.
Ready for this?
The biggest tracks on BBC Asian Network. Later on the programme.
Coming up in the next hour, this is not a cheery show today, I've got to say. 3 hours of pretty heavy subjects, but please don't abandon us just because of that, because they are serious subjects that we need to talk about. Yesterday, Sarah Edge was found guilty of beating her son Yassim to death. The news reported the fact that she beat him to death because he wasn't learning the Quran. But what was mentioned in some of the news reports was the depression that she was suffering from, which in no way is a justification for what she did. But what we do want to talk about in the final hour is whether enough is being done to combat depression in the Asian community. If you're someone who's suffered from depression, is it something that parents, brothers, sisters, grandparents take seriously? If you feel that you've been through it, what kind of help did you get? And what are the signs that we need to look for? Whether it be postnatal depression, maybe depression brought about by financial worries, insecurities, perhaps abuse that has led to the depression. Either way, is enough being done, and what can be done? That's what we'll be talking about after midday. So please stay with me, Nihal, on the phone-in show on the BBC Asian Network. But let's get back to my most welcome guest, Inderpal Shergill. Inderpal, sorry to have kept you waiting for a while, but it was really nice to hear stories from people who really are trying to make a difference, isn't it, Inderpal?
Yes, definitely.
And it was great to hear Nuri's conversation about her husband and how he's now in remission.
That's right, yes.
Do you go for health screenings every year?
Well, I've made it a point for getting a screening done for myself, my wife, and my mom. It's easy to get it done in India, because whenever I make a trip to India, there is Apollo hospital. You can do an MOT, which it works out pretty cheap in India. I've tried that. I've spoken to a couple of GPs here. Again, it's all about mindset. I told my GP that would it be possible if I have a prostate check done? And the first thing that he came out was that we normally do it only when you've crossed 45. See, that's a mindset. That's a blockage. They don't understand. That there's no harm in getting it done. It just gives you peace of mind for the next 5 years, probably.
Yeah.
But it was easy for me to get things done in India. So every year I get a proper screening done of myself and my family.
Getting back to your journey, the point where you're being shot at or told that you're going to die, did you not at any point think, I need to go home now?
Yes, that thought did come to my mind on the day when, after the attack, I was driving through those mountain ranges, and I was instructed by the police as well that if ever there's a firing, you need to sort of look at where the firing is coming from and duck on the other side, and make sure you don't get shot at. So there was a scary moment. The police telling you that that's all you can do for the moment. But otherwise, I had instances where the car was broken into, my clothes were stolen, my car slipped in a valley of death. There were sandstorms. I was caught by Russian SS, stripped my car, and Iranian police confiscated all my cameras, and I was blamed for being a spy, British spy. And then, of course, I was attacked in the middle of the night in Kyrgyzstan, where I was left bleeding. So all those moments happened. I think I would call them the moments of fun. But yes, the Pakistani moment was the one which actually made me think that what am I doing here? And that whole day I was just praying for my wife, my family, my mother. And I prayed for my family that if I'm gone, please, God, take care of them.
Is that what kept you going, just your family, or was it the memory of your friends as well and your father-in-law?
Well, it was to do with both of them. And it was, the thing is, like I said, you don't have to do it when you lose somebody in your family, but that's how it started for me. And I decided there's something I need to do for the community, give back to the community, and then probably leave a message for my kids, teach them at the early stage that it's not all about earning and making your life a luxury lifestyle. It's about contributing, giving back to the society what is important. And it just started off a one-man show. I'll try to actually raise awareness. Probably I'll speak to 1,000 people, 5,000 people. But you wouldn't believe it. I've had more than 20,000 hits on my website. The amount of people, the amount of awareness that's gone through the media, the newspapers, and the hits on the websites, and the people talking about it, it just snowball into something so big, and I'm sure my kids would be proud that their father's done something bigger, and hopefully they learn from that and contribute back.
I can't imagine they'd be anything but proud. What was the most beautiful country that you went through?
I love Georgia. I've loved Europe anyways. I've done Europe before, but Georgia was a find.
And as a brown person, any issues?
Not really. You wouldn't believe some of these Soviet bloc countries and the Balkan countries, people are not even aware. I mean, the moment I said I'm from England, I was taken for granted. I mean, normally you get asked in some of the places that, are you really from England? Are you from, you look like Indian. So, but when I went to China, I mean, the moment you tell them I'm from England, they say, oh, wow, you're British. So that's
Inderpal, sorry, we've run out of time, but thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. A fantastic story. Just give us quickly, what is your website address?
The website is glasgow2goa.com, and it's number 2, so glasgow2goa.com.
Perfect.
And I'd just like to mention one little thing.
Of course.
There is a Roko Cancer organization which is started in India, and there's Imran Khan Shaukat Khanum Foundation in Pakistan.
Great.
And cancer is no religion, no caste. It is irrespective of that. And I would really encourage people to actually contribute to Shaukat Khanum Foundation, because they're opening a hospital not only in, they have a hospital in Lahore, they're opening in Islamabad. And similarly, we've opened a hospital from Roko Cancer in Firozpur, there's an opening on 22nd of this month, 200-bed hospital, and there's one in Moga and Kapurthala coming up as well.
Okay.
So I would encourage people to go on the website. They'll find a lot of information, and it's time to give back to the society.
Okay, Inderpal Shergill, thank you very much indeed.
The sound of Asian Britain on digital TV